Welcome to 501 Crossroads, your show all about nonprofits and the people that make the mission happen. I'm Marjorie Moore, President and CEO of Mind's Eye, and my personal mission is to make nonprofits stronger by identifying and fixing the rubs that so often come up between people and the mission. My fabulous co-host, the nonprofit ninja Natalie Jablonski, is here.
That's right, specializing in helping nonprofits maximize their time, talent, and resources to achieve organizational greatness. Well, hello there, Marjorie.
Hey, Natalie, how's it going?
Oh, hold on, I'm taking some. Hold on.
Oh, you got something there.
I do. It smells delish. You know what it is?
Is it some wine?
It is. You know why?
Because today is a
Wine on one.
Clink.
Clink.
Still
I love saying
it.
clink.
Yeah, it's a good word.
It is a good word. I love it. What are we celebrating anything tonight, or are we just enjoying this really good wine?
Well, I think we are both in the thick of that time of year.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
It's the time that we get out our tax records and all that kind of stuff. No, it's silent auction time.
Oh, good. I thought I'd rather do that. Silent auctions. You know, I love silent auctions, and I also hate them for all of their wonderfulness and all of their frustration.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end, people like to participate in them, and they raise some good money. So I feel like it's a necessary evil. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's one of those things. I think once you have one going, it's hard to stop.
Yeah.
I remember I had a friend from another organization who was trying to kill her silent auction for years, and she had one of these weird ones where it was set up in the auction for a month, and it was no bueno. So yeah, so maybe silent auction do's and don'ts. Don't make it go on set up in your office for a month.
No,
don't do that.
And I think there's got to be something that we said if we're going to do do's and don'ts of silent auction on this. You have to know your audience.
Oh yeah, that's huge.
Please, for the love of all things holy, if someone gives you something that has nothing to do with what your audience would want, you need to either have a crucial conversation with the person that gave it to you, or you need to figure out if you're allowed to use it for anything else.
Or throw it away.
I didn't say that on the air. That was Marjorie. So if anyone's playing this, that was totally her. I would never, ever tell you that I did that.
Yeah. Although there are some things that you do have to question, whether the donor was just trying to get rid of some junk.
I know.
And take a tax write-off. Or if they honestly thought that I was going to be able to sell this at my high end.
Have you gotten some of the stuff, though, that you're like, what were they thinking?
Yeah, actually, one of my favorite silent auction items was years ago. We got this, it was like a picture sculpture.
A picture of a sculpture?
So no, it was like painting size. So it like hung on the wall like a painting would, except it was like 3-dimensional.
Yes.
But it was a lady of the night, with her bazungas kind of falling out, and she was looking out a window waving. Yeah, and we tried to sell that at our very first silent auction, I believe, and it didn't sell.
Well, I don't know why.
Yeah,
that's
weird.
A shame because I'm sure it was a piece to be remembered.
It was, yes. I need to check in with the former CEO of our organization to see if he still has it, because we traded it back and forth for a while.
Wow. That's impressive. Yeah. There's something to be said about when the items you get. Like I've had volunteers get super excited. They'll come in like, look what I got for a silent auction. And when you have to ask, what is it? It's never a good sign, because and they show it to you and you still don't know.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, awkward. Okay, well, we'll put that with something really valuable so that someone will have to take that with them.
Oh, but this is worth $300.
Fantastic. You will be the first bidder then. That would be, I have told volunteers before, I'm happy to put on the silent auction, but you're the one starting the opening bid.
Oh, that's a good idea. I wish I had done that a lot.
Yes. Yes. Like the woman who said, oh, that my neighbor is willing to crochet a personal scarf for 4 people. And I'm like, wow, a crocheted scarf. And they're like, oh, they're so cute. I have one. Well, great. Well, then I'm going to anticipate that you'll be doing the opening bid, because I want to make sure that at least we have something started. I wouldn't want your neighbor to get her feelings hurt.
And that is really
hard. Which goes back to my do have opening bids and do have plants.
Yeah. We do opening bids for everything. We actually do bid increments, and actually they are written down on the side. So if my opening bid is $50, the next bid is, let's say, $75, and then the next one's there. So you can actually see.
I like your silent auction. I've bid on that before.
Yeah, we don't let people do the math.
Well, and sometimes after you've had a few drinks, you really don't need to do the math.
Yeah, that's another do. Get your crowd drunk.
Yeah. Not that we're saying not so much to let them come home, alcohol, right? Make sure Ubers are available. So my question, the thing I've been seeing this trend, Do or don't. Buy it now. What is your thought?
I do. On
everything?
Like I have been doing it on everything, and I usually do 1.5 times the value.
So explain what buy it now is for those who just perked up and are paying attention because they were drinking wine while we were talking.
Yeah. So let's say that you have an item that, or maybe all your items, and you want to put a purchase price in so that if somebody really, really loves this item and they want it, they can buy it now or own it now, I believe is the preferred terminology, because buy means like you're spending money, but own, like you can have it. So I usually set mine at 1.5 times the actual value of the item, and almost none of my stuff sells for that much. So when somebody buys it for that, that's a big win for us. Now I've got some stuff where the donor's like, yeah, this is this beautiful, they'll donate this absolutely gorgeous hand beaded necklace. And they'll be like, well, it was like $35 to make. And the value of that is not $35.
Right.
So
not to mention sometimes it's the person who actually made it that makes it more valuable.
Exactly. Yeah. That is true too. So yeah. So for all of our silent auction items, we do a buy it now or an own it now. And most of them are 1.5 times. Some of them are a lot more.
Now I have to tell you on the guest side of that, what I really do like is that I don't like spending a lot of time in the silent auction world. I go through once and that's it.
Oh, yeah. So if you really want something.
Right. When I go through, now my husband loves the game. He loves to go back and forth. And like we're eating our salad. And he's like, I got to go check on my item. I'm like, for Pete's sake, just put some money on it and come back and enjoy your food. Like, what, well, it's just a salad. But nonetheless, that bothers me.
Sometimes it's got that really good raspberry vinaigrette sauce.
I know.
And
right.
tasty.
Right. Or what was the creamy red onion?
Yeah.
Good. So we always plan great, food in events world, but we never really get to eat it because we're working the silent auction. So I don't like the back and forth. So I go through the silent auction one time. Anything I want, I put in my final bid when I bid, so that I know I'm not going back because I'm done. And if
you've jumped 3 spaces, maybe.
Absolutely. I have been known for something to be $30. And I'm like, I would pay $100 for this and just jump it to 100.
Nice.
Not because I'm trying to like look all fancy, which is perceived that I'm lazy. I don't want to go back. And if someone bids $110, I'm not going to go home at night and go, I should have bid 120. Like I'm making that decision right then. So I do like the buy it now, own it now feature, because on some of those things I'm like, that would be kind of nice. And then I don't have to worry about going back and forth. So for the people who don't like to play the game, I like it. I've seen some that they do own it now on some of the larger items, but on some of the smaller items, they don't bother. They don't bother with it. They let the game play. So
I am always, it's the other downside to letting the game play is you have no idea how long that bid sheet needs to be.
That is rough.
Because I mean, sometimes I get bids that go all the way up to the own it now, and I'm always shocked by that personally, especially when it's like a basket that I'm like, this basket is just garbage.
So when it hits the own it now, is it over?
Yeah. Now, and that is the downside.
So you're limiting it as well.
Although I think I've only been in maybe 2 situations where I felt like I maybe could have made a little bit more money, but these were things that like, ended at like $50. So the value wasn't that big anyway. So maybe I lost out on $20, maybe. So I'm not going to worry about that.
So do's or don'ts. When you are putting together a silent auction, should you have multiple pages behind it just in case? If you're not putting a buy it now feature?
I used to, yeah. So, although on the other side, I'm not sure how many of us have time for that.
I almost wonder if you have some blank pages that you could put through and then you could just staple and add it. So it wouldn't have the item on the top. It would just be, you would be able to flip it to that next page and kind of just let it continue. You have to have a really good volunteer base that can monitor that.
Yeah, that's tricky.
And here's the other one. So do you like a log big auction, or would you rather have everything condensed into bigger packages and smaller amounts, like 30 big items or 60 medium-sized items?
So this has been the eternal fight at my organization.
You're not the only one. There are nonprofits across the country that argue about this.
So this is staff versus committee here. Staff would really like it to be a lot of larger items.
30 items, and we're done.
Yeah. Right. I usually, so we've had up to 100 items in our auction that maybe gets 200 people at it. So it's a lot.
Right.
So I think last year or 2 years ago, I set a 75 limit and we still went up to 90.
It was a large auction.
It happens. But I would really like to see bigger items for more, although increments are tougher then.
It is.
Like if you're starting your bids at $300,
you're going to roll out
to go up
people.
$400.
So you better have a fundraiser somewhere else that someone can drop $20 or $60 at if they want to spend a smaller amount. So that is something you have to know your audience on, right?
And I have been to auctions where the items have all been way too expensive for my blood, or just something that, I wouldn't mind that thing, but I don't want it for $300, and I certainly don't want it for $500.
Right. And so again, it's going back to the very first one, which is you have to know your audience and what interests them. I think all staff would rather have less because administratively, it's so much easier to take care of. But if you would have put in the room that you just suggested with how many people did you have in there?
About 200.
So if you would have tried to crowd 200 people around 20 items,
it's too much.
Yeah. It would have been a mass chaos.
Yeah.
Now I've seen it done one way really well. And if I could remember the nonprofit that did it, I would call them out and give them credit. And I'm so sorry if this was you, let me know and comment. It was brilliantly done. They had like 20 items and throughout the room, kind of like food stations, they had auction stations.
Oh.
So they had like 2 or 3 items on this one, 2 or 3 items on this one, and they had them on these different tables throughout so that no matter where you were mingling during that event,
you were near some auction
you were near some auction items.
I really like that idea. And
I did as well. That's the only way that I've seen it thus far that I've thought that's how you make it small and that's how you get 200, 300 people around your auction table.
Yeah.
Because typically, what do we all do traditionally? We put it in a corner somewhere, keep it out of the way, try to make it a nice line so everyone can go through, which then everyone's confused. It's like the buffet line. Do I go this way or that way? Where's the plates, right? So I've seen that and that's brilliant. The other thing that I really like, and I've seen several organizations do this, is that they close different tables at different times.
Yeah.
So they typically close the lesser expensive items first. And I think I saw
we do
you guys do that as well. I don't know the strategy behind what the reasoning was on different tables, but some of the strategy is
ours goes from money. So we've got our purple section, which is the cheap stuff.
Yep. You close that first because if I didn't bid on that, I might spend more money on this item. That's the thought behind it. So if you have a large auction and you're trying to manage administratively behind the scenes, it's a great way to be able to get that first set done, the second set. But do figure out a way to make sure you communicate with your audience as to what table number 1 is. Don't label them as A. Don't tell them as a table number 1. Colors are great because when you're drinking, you can still do colors, right? So I've seen it done beautifully with very simple helium balloons. And tablecloth colors. I've seen different sides. So they've called it the bar table. So it's over near the bar. The stage table is over by the stage. So some sort of visual. You've given them liquor, and now you need to help them. What's closing next? I'd have some volunteers like kind of raising their hand. Where the volunteers are at. This is the next one closing. And do you think? Here's a do and don't. Do you think it's necessary for you to do? The table is closing in 5, 4, 3.
I hate it.
2. At this point, aren't you like, seriously, close the doggone auction?
I usually am. And I've been in the back as this is happening. And I rarely have people fighting over an item,
I had someone take the bid item off of the bid sheet off of the.
Yeah, my volunteers are actually known for doing that.
No. A person who, I was going to say, a bidder who decided they want anyone else to bid.
Oh, not cool.
So they just picked it up.
Not cool.
And so no one else could bid on it.
Yeah, that's cheating.
Well, yes, I know. But I wasn't going to tell that person that. And they bid a lot for the item. So I'm like, yes, you're happy. That's good. But yeah, why we feel the need to count down?
I don't know.
Because no one really cares. We're all eating our dessert. And we just really want you to close it so we can get back to the program. And at that point, if I wanted it, I'd be standing there.
Yeah. And I guess that's my other question maybe for you is when should the silent auction end? Should it end when cocktail hour ends and, dinner starts? Or should it go into dinner or after dinner?
I think there is some do's and don'ts with regards to when to close the auction based on your event. But I don't know if it can be specific enough that I can tell you this is the best way to do it. So here's some variables that you would want to consider. The first variable is tradition. If you're working with an event that's been 30 years, it's always been like this. If you're going to shake that tradition up, you've got to figure out a way that everybody understands how it's changing. Don't just put in the program and expect everyone to know.
Nobody's going to read your program.
No one will read your program and you are going to aggravate everyone and you can turn off some donors. So question first is what's tradition, right? If it's not tradition or it hasn't been established long enough to be tradition, by the way, for those who like to argue with me, 5 years a tradition does not make. Good try. I'm talking a long-standing tradition, right? So if you don't have that tradition problem to deal with, then I think some of it has to do with the activities of the evening and being respectful to those activities. If you have speakers that are going on, you have an awards presentation going on, I think there's nothing more rude and disrespectful than in the middle of an awards presentation, you have people getting up to check your auction item.
Yeah, unless they're going to get their dessert.
That is that person's night, right? Or those group of people's night. They're there because they're being honored and represented. And obviously, you pick them as an organization for a reason to be honored. Don't disrespect them by having your auction open during that time. At that point, either change your program or change your auction closing, right? It also depends on how much you've got administratively going on behind the scenes. If you've got a very robust administrative process going on, you've got a great checkout strategy, you've got a good distribution on winning ticket strategy, you've pre-registered credit cards, you've got staff and volunteers aplenty. If that's the case, by the way, congratulations. And all that's really smooth. You can go until the final evening of the activities before it's, to close it, because that's not the factor. However, then if that's not the case, which I suspect many of us struggle with it, then you kind of need to work backwards from when the night thank you and good night comments start and when you need to be able to administratively get all that out. So I think some of that comes with that timing.
Yeah.
And not every silent auction is held with a dinner. Some are held with cocktail receptions. Some are held with a 5K. Some are held with something completely different, like a fashion show.
Or a golf tournament.
And so I always look at the simple rules of when are they gathered? How much are they drinking? I'm sorry, that is a factor that you have to do. And if you have no alcohol happening, then my question is, when are they feeling charitable? Are they feeling charitable after a big presentation from your board chair? Or are they feeling charitable after the last person walks the runway? What does that look like for your organization? Because you don't want to close it before then.
That's a good point. I feel like that is one benefit of the electronic systems that we're seeing more and more of. And I haven't played with one myself other than being a guest at an auction. It's becoming
popular.
Yeah. Have you used one?
I have not used one in our organization, although I've worked with several organizations that have used them successfully.
Yeah.
Some have done pre-bidding, so they open those items ahead. And then another one that I just went to, I worked with them, and they not only had it beforehand, they kept announcing it during, so you could continue to bid while you were still sitting at your table using your phone, which
you
meant
probably
you were
liked
engaged.
That, didn't you?
That was the best. But they left some items closed that night, and some items didn't close until a week after the event.
Not sure I like that.
And I asked what the thought was and why they wanted to do it that way, because again, as a consultant, all you do is consult, right? They make the decisions. They had people who were out of town, and they wanted to give them a chance to participate, and they thought they would be obnoxious with their bidding in order to have their contribution. I can't say that I agreed with them, and I think it may have backfired a bit on some of those bids, but
see that
it did work social media wise. Afterwards, they sent out a social media post. Thanks so much for coming. If you didn't get to come and you'd like to still bid, there are still 15 items on the silent auction, and it closes at this time. So they were able to plug it that way. I think they have to create a culture for that to work. It was an interesting strategy. I can't say that I would have went all in on it, but again, a consultant consults, not makes those decisions, right?
That is true. I did really enjoy one time. I had I got sick before an event that I wanted to go to, and they did all of their bidding online. And so I was able to sit in the comfort of my couch and actually bid up some items. I don't think I ended up winning anything, but it was nice.
So if you're going to have it online, here's a couple do's and don'ts to end you with, right? If you're going to do an online auction, do make sure that you have the link in the program or whatever you're handing out for them to see, or have it on a table tent. They need a visual. If you try to have your MC announce, please go to www.abccharity/event/auction/ and I'm not joking. I went to an event and that's what they did.
No.
And they kept repeating the big HTML link. It was a nightmare. And then they kept getting it wrong.
Ugh.
Even worse, right? So do post it there. Do post it on your social media and your website, which makes it very easy in case people can't figure out how to do that. At least they know how to go to your basic communication, right? Do promote it in the invitation or in the confirmation of their reservation so people can preview it. So do have a preview with that as well.
I love previews.
And then finally, do send thank you notes, include those people in the thank you notes.
Oh, yeah.
You're capturing their information. That was one of the big faux pas I had with an organization I was working at. They said, well, they're getting the auction item. No. please, there is no such thing as too much thanks, right?
Yeah. So, and they think they're donating.
They do. And their tax advisor can tell them how much they can deduct or whether they can deduct.
But either way, they paid $200 for an item. In their mind, they've just given you $200.
I agree. And last but not least, if you're going to do it online, do see if you can include more than just your personal group of friends and family and donors. If you can make it public and you can do that as a public piece and get a media source to help promote it, you can really gain some great attention. So I do have a strategy about that for public, and of course, by all means, do drink wine.
Yes, always drink wine. Good tips. Thanks, Natalie. And thank you to all of you for joining us on 501 Crossroads. 501 Crossroads is recorded at the studios of Mind's Eye Radio and is produced and hosted by me, Marjorie Moore.
And me, Natalie Jablonski.
Mike Curtis is our sound engineer. Please go to iTunes or Stitcher or your favorite app and subscribe and leave us some feedback so others can find us. You can find us on Facebook at 501 Crossroads. Thank you for listening, and remember, we're all working towards the same outcomes.